Good morning from beautiful Brisbane, Australia. How are you this morning? And welcome, Conscious Warriors, to Monday morning's edition, prior to Christmas, of Conscious Warriors Academy. And my name's Linda. I'm your certified trauma recovery coach. And this morning, I want to talk to you or share with you some pretty exciting information in regards to our prefrontal cortex and getting another part of our executive functioning back online. I had the most amazing, good morning Suzanne, I had the most amazing experience 2 days ago now, where my sons, who have been they're amazing rocks in my life, and one of the things that I raised all of my kids with was that we don't give up. And they've never given up on trying to get me onto the PlayStation for years. And they're at a PlayStation 4 now where if you all hop on together, you can go in to do sorry, I was trying to think of the word, a mission together. So the three of us are in there together playing the game. And I've got to tell you, it was the most unreal experience of my life. And as we were going through the mission, I could feel the support, even though we're in three completely different parts of the house. You can talk to each other. You can say, okay, this is the way we go. Now, remember, this is the first time I've ever been on anything like this in my life. And it was just amazing what I could see happening. Good morning, Chan. And throughout the whole mission, as you talk to each other and you find your way through, there's support. I could feel the support and encouragement, and there's no right or wrong. I mean, how often have we been through experiences in our life, in our families, when it's either right or wrong? And they kept saying, no, Mum, there's no right or wrong. We're just here to have an adventure, basically. But as we were going through, I meant to get you a picture of, I meant to show you the controller. So actually, I'm going to get it. Hang on. Sorry. I wanted to get this for you to show you exactly why this helps our executive functioning. So the first thing to remember is that when we're on hypoarousal, which is the shutdown mode, and we've been on it for a very long time, we need to be able to do things that take us out of the primitive survival brain into learner brain, where a lot of the executive functions are. Now, in order to do this on the Ps4, I had to teach my brain to move into those executive functions. So if you look at this and you have an absolute meltdown and go, oh, there's no way I could learn all of that, I'm with you. A few years ago, they tried to get me on it, and all I could do was laugh, because there was no way I could compute how to press all these buttons at once. However, I've done a lot of work around getting my prefrontal cortex, or all that executive functioning, online through trauma-informed movement and other things. Now, these were the two primary buttons. Then I had to learn these buttons, and then over the back are even more. So you really need this finite part of your brain in order to put things in an order and to move between all of them. So I went, okay, the mission took us about an hour, and I was at the end of it, I'm like, oh, I'm just so tired. Like, I can literally feel that I'm going to go to sleep any minute now. And throughout the mission, I could feel the adrenaline rushing through my body, and I'm like, I don't remember the last time I felt adrenaline rushing through my body. In fact, I don't know if I've ever felt that level of adrenaline rushing through my body. So what I discovered was, in sitting down and making my executive functions work, so focusing my mind on making this happen, okay, this this button does this and this one does this, and then if I use them both together, I can move around and I can see. And keeping on repeating that over and over in my mind helped me get on to learning the other buttons. But as we haven't used that level of executive function in a very long time for me, like decades, it is actually pretty exhausting. So I literally said to the boys, okay, I know that I'm going to fall asleep shortly. And they said, we're nearly finished, Mum. Josh had to go to work. And so once we finished the mission, which they then told me it wasn't the baseline mission, it was something up here. And heroic mission, I think they said. And I went, oh my goodness, that was massive. Actually, Chan just said something too. I've just started playing games that I used to be good at when I was a child. I play it now and can tell the damage that's been done to my brain over the years. I can't break down the key patterns. It's madness. Exactly. But the good news is we can do this. Now, the reason why I know it's had such an impact is the next day I went to gym in the morning and I was tired as. And I went... I hauled myself off to gym and I'm like, oh, I'm not going to be able to do anything, right? And so, it usually takes me 30 minutes to do around 11 point something kilometres, and I think it's about 111 calories or more. I'm not sure. I don't keep a close eye on it, but I have an awareness of it. So yesterday morning when I'm at gym, I'm tired. I'm like, I'm not going to do any good. And I had about 20 minutes because I was running late. In a space of 22 and a half minutes, I did 7 point something kilometres and I did over 100 calories. And I went, no way. Like, way. I've been at gym a long time trying to increase my ability. And just overnight, getting that executive functioning happening, I was able to do more in less time, and I was blown away. So I thought, all right, let's see how long this lasts. So I went to gym this morning, and I couldn't believe it. In the space of 22 and a half minutes, I did over 8 kilometres, and I went, this is just mind-boggling, because it's been the most productive thing I've ever done. So I want to encourage you to find something that's going to use a lot of your executive functions and train your mind to focus on it, because when we train our mind to focus on these things, then we're able to increase our executive functioning, and then we're able to move our body more. We're able to be more conscious of the order of things. Now, I've made up a sheet that'll go into the free resources in the Academy, and I'll just show you. And it's got on there a whole list of all the things that we need our prefrontal cortex, that specific area of executive functioning, online to do. So these are just some of I won't read out the whole list, but these are some of the things that you can readily identify with whether or not they're happening in your life now or not. So balance. Okay, hands up everybody who bumps into things without seeing them. Okay, that'll be me. Have bruises over me all the time, because our perception, our ability to see, is an executive function that we need, okay? Empathy. Do we have empathy for everyone all the time, or are we struggling to find it? Insight into what's happening. Our intuition is driven from there. Our body regulation. So if we're trying to co-regulate and get regulation happening, it's not going to happen without our prefrontal cortex, all right? It's going to be hard yards all the time. Our response flexibility. So one of the symptoms, or one of the outcomes of complex trauma, is inflexible thinking. And I've spoken about this before, where with inflexible thinking, when I found out that that was one of the things that happen for us is we have inflexible thinking, I went, no, I don't have inflexible thinking. And then when I thought about it, I went, oh my goodness, how often do I need things in a row? And if they're not, I get overwhelmed. And I went, oh, okay. So we need our prefrontal cortex functioning to get off of our inflexible thinking as well. Well, it helps, put it that way. Morality. So, you know, if we have our morals in place, then we are able to put boundaries in place a lot more effectively, okay? And our communication will have a deeper level of communication. And then we are able to modulate our fear as well, okay? Now, I didn't want to spend a lot of time this morning on this. I just want to share with you how effective it was for me just to spend an hour there, and the improvement didn't decrease in the space of 48 hours. In fact, the improvement continues to increase. So I said to the boys, I'll provide all the food, way to a man's heart, his stomach. And I said, I will cook, I will provide all the food Christmas Day, but I want to do more Destiny so that I can get more executive functioning happening, more of my learner brain happening. And then I'm going to be able to see how things are done more easily. And even last night when I was at church, I'm sitting there and all of a sudden I could see when the guy was talking, I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm starting to actually be able to understand how to relate in a lot easier way too, instead of everything having to be doubly thought over. So I don't know about you, but for me, every time I go to relate to someone, it's like I have to think of everything twice to make sure that I'm not going to put my foot in my mouth and look at it from every angle. So I want you to think about that. Some of the other things that I've done to help with that level of executive functioning is go online and do brain training. I did that the year I did my counselling diploma. I had minimal memory, like it was a shocker, okay? But what I did was go online and find some brain training, and you just play games, and it works. And it began to help me get memory back. I began to be able to function better in day-to-day life. So find some brain training that you enjoy and sit down. And I think I used to do half an hour, 20 minutes to half an hour a day in order to help get my brain back online. And look, if we don't have our brain back online, how are we going to function? It's like our mega computer that drives everything in our body. And one of the things that I've been really, really focused on too is, why can't I lose weight? It doesn't matter what I do, doesn't matter what diet I do. I get to a certain stage and it's like just stays the same. And I did look up a lot of what happens with hypoarousal, and it does shut down a lot of things. But for me, they're not working properly, but they're not dysfunctional to the point that they show up in tests. So what I've found is this executive functioning coming back online means that there's more oxygen coming in. I'm able to do more without it seeming like I'm having to push myself. And it's starting to really peel back the layers. But it's also giving me this real sense of self. Okay, so remember, our sense of self is like another app that we get online that we have to develop over time, because our sense of self was an app that wasn't developed throughout our childhood. So it helps get that whole sense of self back online. So even though I was tired this morning, I could feel strong and confident in what I was doing. And I'm like, this is amazing. So the tiredness isn't the driving factor. The learning brain is driving everything, and I'm feeling really good. Chan says, oh my God, that is so me. I lose loads and then nothing for a year, if not more. And that's right. And you know what, Chan, the only way I realised this was happening, apart from the fact of the way, it's so hard because without this executive functioning, we literally can't see what it is. And so what I was doing was watching my photos. So I know I take selfies, but I'm not one for doing a whole bunch of stuff like that. But what I began to notice over time, and I'm talking over the space of a year or more, was that there were times when my face would slim down and there were times when my face would fill out and slim down and fill out. So what I did was go back and chart what I was doing at that time, and the trauma-informed movement was the thing that really helped my brain, because we're focusing our mind on our breathing. We're consciously choosing to breathe, which is the opposite of hypoarousal, which shuts us down into very primitive survival mode, which I've been on for a long time and didn't know. So that was one thing. The other thing was doing the brain training games, and now doing everything on the Ps4 with having to learn so many buttons and remember so many things. It's driving the executive function in ways that I would never have believed possible. Plus, it's got that social element, and when we have that social element happening, so our social element's another app in our brain that needs developing, and it's like the whole connection begins to happen at a heart level as well. We feel connected back into the world. We're here to achieve a mutual goal. We're working together. So think of our primary goal in group is that we do life together. Together we can. So when things feel hard, we don't do them alone, we do them together. So as I was doing, this mission with my sons and we're doing it together, in my heart it was like, oh my goodness, I'm not doing life on my own anymore. And it was a really deep, heartfelt, really nice feeling to have. So I want to encourage you, find something that helps you retrain your executive functioning to work. For me, it's been this, and I will continue to do it because it's what I've got available to me. But for you, it might be something different. Okay, I will come in and put up the link to the free resources so that you can get a hold of the list of all the other things that the prefrontal cortex does and all of those things that we want back online. Have the most gorgeous day or evening, and remember, I see you sky big. Bye for now.